There is a place in northern Vietnam where jade-green rivers slice through colossal limestone canyons. Roads cling to the edges of mountains, and layer after layer of jagged peaks disappears into the clouds. At Ma Pí Pass, dramatic hairpin bends meet colorful Hmong clothing and baskets overflowing with mountain flowers. Ride along cliffs high above the Nho Quế River. Boats slip between the towering walls of Tu Sản Canyon. Farther north, the Đồng Văn Karst Plateau unfolds into a wild landscape of gray limestone. Deep valleys, terraced fields, and villages tucked into the mountains. But the beauty here was never easy to live with. There is so little soil that families have planted corn between rocks, mountains that now create breathtaking roads, once isolated communities from one another, and routes travelers now cross the world to ride had to be carved through some of Vietnam's most unforgiving terrain. This is Ha Giang, home of the legendary Ha Giang Loop. How did a landscape this difficult to live in become one of Vietnam's greatest adventures? Come with Beyond Travel. Start the engine. We're heading into the mountains, chasing the Nho Quế River and riding one of the wildest roads in Vietnam. If there is one view that captures why Ha Giang has become one of Vietnam's most spectacular journeys, it is Mã Pí Lèng Pass. The pass rises to around 1,500 meters above sea level between Đồng Văn and Mèo Vạc. From the road, the mountains suddenly break apart into an enormous gorge. Far below, the Nho Quế River winds between gray limestone walls, its water appearing strikingly jade-green against the rock. Then you realize just how high you are. In places, the river lies roughly 800 meters below the surrounding mountain peaks. From viewpoints along Mã Pí Lèng, boats on the Nho Quế can appear tiny against the canyon, while the road itself looks like a narrow line cut across the mountainside. But don't stop at the viewpoint. Travel down toward the river and board a boat, and the scale reverses completely. The water carries you into Tu Sản Canyon, where cliffs rise dramatically on both sides. Often described as one of Vietnam's deepest canyons, Tu Sản has cliff walls reaching roughly 700–800 meters, creating one of the most dramatic river journeys in northern Vietnam. From Mã Pí Lèng, you look down into the canyon. From the Nho Quế, you look back up at the mountains you were riding across, and the road connecting those two views has its own extraordinary story. Mã Pí Lèng forms part of the Happiness Road, the route connecting Ha Giang City with the remote districts of Đồng Văn and Mèo Vạc. Construction began in 1959, when thousands of young volunteers and workers, many from ethnic minority communities across northern Vietnam, spent years opening a road through the mountains. The most dangerous challenge came at Mã Pí Lèng. For roughly 11 months, a small group of workers known as the Courage Team worked on the steep rock face, reportedly hanging themselves from ropes while drilling and blasting sections of limestone to create a passage across the mountain. This wasn't a scenic road built for motorcycles. Before the route existed, the mountains made movement between remote communities extraordinarily difficult. The Happiness Road created a much stronger connection between Ha Giang's northern districts and the rest of the province, improving access to trade and essential services. More than 6 decades later, its meaning has changed again. The road once carved through Mã Pí Lèng to overcome isolation is now one of the main reasons international travelers seek Ha Giang out. The barrier became the destination, but Mã Pí Lèng reveals only how people found a way through these mountains. Across the Đồng Văn Karst Plateau, there is a harder question. How did generations of people build entire lives on land dominated by stone? Before reaching Đồng Văn, the road climbs another of Ha Giang's most recognizable landmarks, Tu Ma Pass. The name itself tells a story. Tu Ma is commonly understood as testing the horse. According to local tradition, travelers once used this steep mountain route to judge whether a horse was strong enough for the journey ahead. If it could make the climb, it was considered capable of handling Ha Giang's demanding mountain terrain. Today, motorcycles make the same ascent, and Tu Ma has become a famous stop on the Ha Giang Loop. At the top, Hmong children in colorful clothing can often be seen carrying baskets of flowers, while the road folds back and forth across the valley below. But getting across these mountains was only one challenge. People also had to find a way to live on them. Beyond Tu Ma lies the Đồng Văn Karst Plateau, covering roughly 2,350 square kilometers across 4 northern districts. Here, limestone dominates the landscape. In many places, there are no broad fields of deep, fertile soil, just gray rock with small pockets of earth trapped between it. And somehow, people farm it. In Hmong communities across the plateau, families have spent generations growing corn between limestone rocks. Seeds are planted wherever enough soil can be found. Small patches that might look almost useless elsewhere become valuable farmland here. From a distance, contrast is beautiful. Rows of green corn emerging through a sea of gray stone. Up close, it reveals how much work living here requires. Even the rocks cleared from fields are put to use. Limestone is stacked into stone fences around homes and farmland, turning the most abundant material in the landscape into part of the village itself. Traditional houses show another adaptation. Thick earthen walls help protect interiors from the mountain climate, while stone walls and enclosed courtyards create sheltered spaces for families and livestock. Then, in the Safin Valley, something completely different appears behind a stone wall. The Vuong family mansion, often called the Hmong King's Palace, was built in the early 20th century for the powerful Vuong family. The complex contains dozens of rooms arranged around courtyards with stone walls, timber columns, tiled roofs, and architectural influences from both Hmong and Chinese traditions. Finding a mansion like this in the middle of the rocky plateau changes the picture again. These mountains didn't contain only isolated farms. Communities developed trade, wealth, architecture, and centers of local power, despite the difficult geography surrounding them. And Ha Giang isn't shaped by one culture alone. Hmong, He, Dao, Tai, Nung, Lolo, and others, each contributing different languages, clothing, architecture, customs, and traditions to the region travelers experience today. Ha Giang's difficult landscape didn't prevent a culture from developing. It helped shape one that looks unmistakably connected to the mountains. But living in scattered villages creates another problem. Your relatives may live beyond the next ridge. Someone you want to trade with may be several mountains away. And historically, simply meeting people outside your village could require a serious journey. So certain days became much more than an opportunity to buy food. Entire mountain communities came down to meet each other. And to understand that side of Ha Giang, we need to arrive early, because the next part of this journey begins at a highland market before most travelers have finished breakfast. Don't forget to subscribe to the Beyond Travel channel. The journey is just beginning. Long before the Ha Giang Loop brought travelers through these mountains, people were already making journeys of their own. On market mornings in places like Đồng Văn and Mèo Vạc, the streets begin changing early. Families arrive from surrounding villages, sometimes carrying produce or leading livestock. Hmong women appear in colorful clothing, stalls filled with vegetables, household goods, meat, textiles, and products brought down from the mountains. For a traveler, it is one of the most colorful scenes in Ha Giang. For local communities, the market has traditionally meant much more than shopping. When villages are scattered across mountains and valleys, you don't necessarily see friends or relatives every day. Market day creates a meeting point. People come to trade, but also to eat together, exchange news, catch up with acquaintances, and spend time outside their own village. That is why the most interesting part of a highland market isn't always what is being sold. Sometimes it is simply watching people meet, and if you want to understand Ha Giang through food, this is one of the best places to start. One dish closely associated with Hmong communities is men men, made from ground corn that is carefully steamed. It is simple, filling, and deeply connected to the Highland diet. The corn we saw growing between limestone in the previous part doesn't end its story in the field. Here, it becomes something people have eaten for generations. Then there is tang co, traditionally associated with the Hmong and Highland markets of northern Vietnam. Tang co is a hearty meat stew cooked in a large pot with herbs and spices. Traditionally, horse's meat and different parts of the animal could be used, although versions made with beef, buffalo, or other meats are also found today. For first-time visitors, the appearance and aroma can be unfamiliar, but focusing only on whether you would personally eat, it misses part of the point. A steaming pot of tang co belongs to the social atmosphere of the market. People gather around, share food, talk, and often drink corn liquor alongside it. In the cold mountain air, eating becomes part of meeting. And Ha Giang has an even more unusual example of how geography, food, and local knowledge come together. But the markets are also changing. Motorcycles now make journeys that once demanded far more time and effort. Better roads connect communities more easily. Visitors arrive with cameras. Restaurants adapt traditional dishes for travelers. Products made for tourism sit beside goods bought for everyday life. Yet on the right morning, the market still gives you something the most dramatic viewpoint cannot. It shows Ha Giang moving rather than posing. People are buying food for home. Livestock changes hands. Friends meet. Languages and clothing from different communities share the same streets. What looks like a cultural attraction to an outsider is also part of an ordinary working day. And that helps answer another piece of our original question. The mountains created distance, but people created places where that distance could disappear. Today, however, something much larger is happening. Those meeting points no longer connect only neighboring communities. The roads outside are carrying visitors from Europe, Australia, North America, and across Asia into the same mountain towns. The isolation that helped give Ha Giang such a distinctive culture is fading, and somehow that hasn't made the journey less desirable. It has helped turn the Ha Giang Loop into an international phenomenon. The people arriving in Ha Giang's mountain towns today are no longer coming only from the next valley. They are coming from around the world. Over the last several years, the Ha Giang Loop has become one of Vietnam's most sought-after adventure experiences, particularly among international travelers. In Ha Giang City, hostels and rental shops prepare groups for multi-day journeys into the mountains. Some visitors ride their own motorcycles. Others choose an easy rider, a local driver who handles the mountain roads while the passenger takes in the journey from the back seat. And that changes the experience completely. An easy rider isn't simply someone who takes you from one hotel to another. Many know these roads turn by turn. They know where to stop when clouds clear over the mountains, where to eat in small towns, which roads become difficult in bad weather, and where a viewpoint may be hidden beyond the obvious tourist stops. Knowledge that once helped people navigate an isolated mountain region has become valuable to travelers trying to experience it. Across the loop, family homes and small local properties have become homestays, giving travelers places to sleep in areas where large hotels would feel completely out of place. At night, people who may have been strangers that morning sit around the same table. Vietnamese dishes are passed between guests. Stories from the day's ride are exchanged. Local hosts and easy riders join the conversation. By morning, everyone gets back on the road. That rhythm, ride, stop, meet people, sleep, then ride again, is a major reason Ha Giang feels different from simply visiting a famous viewpoint. You don't arrive at one attraction and leave. For several days, you live inside the journey. And tourism has created new opportunities along that road. Motorbike rentals, guiding, homestays, cafe, restaurants, transportation, and other small businesses can generate income in communities where geography has historically limited economic opportunities. Contrast with the road's original purpose is remarkable, but popularity has also changed the atmosphere. On busy sections of the loop, groups of motorcycles can arrive one after another. Hostels organize departures. Travelers meet people from countries thousands of kilometers apart, only to discover they are all following the same road through northern Vietnam. Ha Giang is no longer a place waiting to be discovered. The world has already found it, and yet scenery alone doesn't fully explain why the journey stays with so many people. Because between the famous passes and viewpoints, travelers keep encountering something that cannot be created by building another hotel or opening another cafe. Traditional clothing is still worn, Hmong music is still played. Earthen houses remain part of mountain villages. Festivals, family traditions, and different languages continue across communities that have lived here for generations. Modern Ha Giang hasn't remained untouched by the outside world. The more interesting question is what has remained recognizably Ha Giang while everything around it changes. And for that, we're heading even farther north to communities near the Chinese border, where tradition and modern tourism now meet almost face to face. Travel far enough north through Ha Giang, and the road eventually reaches Lung Cou, close to Vietnam's border with China. The landscape is still dramatic, but this part of the journey offers something different. High above the surrounding valleys stands the Lung Cou Flag Tower, one of the most symbolic landmarks in northern Vietnam. Climb to the top, and the view stretches across mountains, fields, winding roads, and small settlements scattered through the highlands. But one of the most interesting places isn't at the top of the tower. It is below it. Near Lung Cou lies Lo Lo Chai, a village associated with the Lo Lo people, one of the ethnic communities that have lived in this northern frontier for generations. Here, traditional earthen houses with tiled roofs sit close together beneath the mountains. Their thick walls were built for a highland climate, where winters can become cold, while stone walls and narrow lanes give the village a character very different from Vietnam's major cities. Today, however, Lo Lo Chai is not frozen in the past. Homestays welcome visitors. Motorbikes arrive outside old houses. Travelers drink coffee while smartphones connect the village to a world far beyond these mountains. And that's exactly what makes it interesting. You don't have to pretend modern life doesn't exist in order to experience local culture here. Across Ha Giang, Cultural identity appears in different forms. Among Hmong communities, traditional clothing can still bring extraordinary color to the gray limestone landscape. Textiles are decorated through techniques passed between generations, while the hen, a traditional Hmong reed instrument, remains closely associated with music, dancing, and community celebrations. For visitors lucky enough to encounter a festival or special gathering, the mountains can feel completely different from the quiet landscapes seen from the road. Clothing becomes brighter, music fills shared spaces, and traditions that might appear decorative in a photograph reveal their social meaning. Even architecture tells part of the story. The earthen homes, stone fences, and enclosed courtyards we saw earlier were shaped by necessity. But over generations, practical solutions also became part of the visual identity of Ha Giang's communities. The result is why a village here can feel inseparable from the landscape around it. Yet Ha Giang shouldn't be imagined as a place where everyone is trying to preserve life exactly as it was 100 years ago. Young people study, use smartphones, ride motorcycles, and work in tourism. Families renovate homes. Villages gain new businesses. Some traditions change, others remain important. That creates another kind of contrast. A traveler can spend the morning passing centuries-old building traditions and people wearing distinctive ethnic clothing, then spend the evening in a homestay sharing Wi-Fi with guests from several countries. The old and the new are not living in separate Ha Giangs. They are sharing the same villages. And perhaps that is more interesting than finding a place supposedly untouched by time. Because culture survives not by preventing every change, but by deciding what remains meaningful while change happens around it. The Ha Giang Loop has made that change much faster. The mountains once limited how easily outsiders could arrive. The roads changed that. Tourism accelerated it again. And now Ha Giang faces a challenge very different from the one that shaped its past. For generations, the question was how to overcome isolation. Today, the question is almost the opposite. Now that the world can reach Ha Giang so easily, how much can this place change without losing what made the world want to come here in the first place? By now, the answer to our original question is beginning to appear. Ha Giang didn't become one of Vietnam's greatest adventures because someone created a single spectacular attraction here. The journey already existed in the landscape. The mountains forced roads to climb, twist, and cling to cliffs, creating the Ha Giang Loop travelers now dream of riding. At Mã Pí Lèng, that road rises above one of the most dramatic valleys in Vietnam, with the Nho Quế River running far below. The limestone made farming difficult, but generations of people learned to plant corn between rocks, build stone fences, and create villages that seem almost woven into the Đồng Văn Plateau. Distance separated communities, but it also gave greater meaning to the places where people came together. Highland markets became places to trade, eat, drink, and meet. Foods like men men and tung co grew from the ingredients, climate, and traditions of mountain life. And isolation helped different communities preserve identities that still give Ha Giang its unmistakable character today. From Hmong clothing and music to the earthen houses and traditions of villages near Lung Cu, none of these experiences exist completely on its own. That's what makes the Ha Giang Loop special. You can begin the morning riding through Tum Ma's hairpins, stop in a mountain village, eat food you may never have tried before, climb above a canyon, and end the day around a table in a local homestay. The next morning, the road changes again. Perhaps that is why travelers come from so far away. Ha Giang doesn't ask you to stand in one place and admire it. It asks you to move through it. The road, the mountains, the villages, the food and the people become parts of the same journey. And that finally answers our question. The landscape that made Ha Giang difficult to live in also shaped everything that makes it extraordinary to travel through. The mountains created the challenge. People turned that challenge into a way of life. And today, the road lets the rest of us experience it.